I know we haven't been in the studio for a while. Did you read the Cassie, Diddy?
No, I didn't read any of it.
Did you hear about it, though?
Some of it. But
I'm going to read it to you.
Not like specifics.
I'm reading it to you.
No, wait, because what if I laugh? I would much rather.
No, you're not going to laugh.
You don't know that.
Yeah, you're not going to laugh. I'm reading you this transcript.
The whole thing?
It's really not that long, and it is a story. Okay, so first off, this transcript came out with a trigger warning in big, bold letters. Where's the on top? Okay. Like in red. It says, trigger warning, this document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including sexual assault.
All right. Yeah, because I knew that. She said that he raped her.
Yeah. So here we go. Preliminary statement. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and executive producer. Sorry, and record executive, popularly known. I freaking hate reading out loud. Have we talked about this yet?
Read it?
No. Are you better at reading out loud than I am?
Yeah.
Are you really?
So. I feel like it, yeah. I never had a problem reading out loud.
I hate it.
I just do have a problem pronouncing stuff all the time.
Oh, there's hard words in here then. Maybe I'll keep doing this. All right.
Well, I don't know. You didn't know how to say what's the word when you sweat a lot?
Perspiration?
No, but there's like a medical term for it, like hyper
sweat?
No, see? There was some medical word that you didn't know how to pronounce, and I said it, and you were like, how do you know that? I'm like, duh, because I went to nursing school for 3 months. That's how I know.
So here we go. Let's start over. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive popularly known by his stage names Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and Diddy. Mr. Combs came to fame in early 1900s with his early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records.
Hyperhidrosis.
That's a good name. He rose to prominence in the music and entertainment industry over the decades and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. In 2022, Mr. Combs received...
He's probably reading this like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
All proud.
In 2022, Mr. Combs received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. During his acceptance speech, Mr. Combs said, quote, I have to give a special shout out, thank you, love to all the people that was really there for me. He named a number of people before adding, also Cassie, for holding me down in the dark times. Love. And I remember that. I thought it was at a time, because 2022, they already split up. Like Cassie was already pregnant with her new man. 2022 was last year.
That wasn't that long ago.
No, remember how weird that was? It's like, bro, she's moved on. It was last year. And he's like, oh yeah, especially Cassie for holding me down.
I don't remember that, but that is weird.
Here we go. The truth, however, is that Cassie was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands.
Wait, so is this not coming? These are not like her words? She's not writing this as like...
This is what they filed.
So she is writing this, but she's writing this like in the third
person. Through her lawyer. This is through her lawyer.
The lawyer's writing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Mrs. Ventura, Cassie, the, quote, dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Among other violent and unlawful acts, Mr. Combs, A, raped Miss Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Cassie, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding, blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Miss Ventura.
Kid Cudi.
Yeah. Forced Miss Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while masturbating and filming the encounters. Continues. Ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby. Demanded that Miss Ventura to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is. And introduced Miss Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions.
That's crazy because, oh shoot. When Me and You came out.
The song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously Me and You didn't come out of the closet. But when that song came out, she was like 19, right? She was mad young.
18, 19, she was super young.
She was very young.
Yeah.
And they were already like kind of, like he had already like taken her under his quote unquote wing, right?
That comes up in here. Yeah.
Yikes.
Here we go. So Miss Ventura met Mr. Combs in 2005 when she was 19 years old and he was 37. He signed her on to his label Bad Boy Records within a few years, lured Miss Ventura into an ostentatious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle, and into a romantic relationship with him, her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man, nearly 2 decades her senior. This is all like the intro.
I saw... Okay, I'm saying my comments.
Okay. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Miss Ventura's personal and professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. He provided unprecedented avenues for success for the aspiring artist, but in return, demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. Throughout their relationship, Mr. Combs was prone to uncontrollable rage and frequently beat Miss Ventura savagely. These beatings were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees at Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Combs' related businesses, but no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. Following these episodes of horrific abuse, Mr. Combs would immediately attempt to hide Miss Ventura and the evidence of his violent rage. He often showered her with gifts following incidents of physical violence, a typical pattern of behavior by serial abusers. So he would hide her afterwards. In addition to the physical assaults, Mr. Combs frequently reminded Miss Ventura of his ability to cause serious harm, whether by requiring her to carry his gun in her purse or by blowing up the car of a musician that was romantically interested in Miss Ventura. Adding insult to injury, Mr. Combs used illegal substances and threats of violence to force Miss Ventura into repeated unwanted sexual encounters with male sex workers.
That's gross.
Over the years that Mr. Combs abused Miss Ventura physically and sexually, she again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs' vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her, and those who worked for Mr. Combs' companies implored her to return to him. Many went as far to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, she joined Mr. Combs for dinner, after which he forced her into her home and raped her while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. So she thought she got away. For some reason, they reconnected for dinner. Rape.
Wow.
Miss Ventura has now fully escaped Mr. Combs, but the harm that the assaults and sexual abuse he caused her to experience for nearly a decade will forever haunt her. She has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. She cannot, however, continue to live in silence about what she endured. Mr. Combs remains immensely powerful and immensely dangerous. Miss Ventura therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her with threats of violence, excessive use of drugs, physical and psychological, and sexual slavery. Accordingly, Miss Ventura brings this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against the defendants. Basically, she's suing for sex traffic laws, violation of human rights laws, gender-motivated violence, sexual abuse. This like court speak, like what this whole document's about. Factual allegations.
Oh my God, that's not even like...
that was the intro, like the preamble.
That wasn't even like the tip of the iceberg?
It was like the summary.
Jesus
Here we
Christ.
go.
Okay.
I know.
This is a lot.
It's a lot.
This is a lot to listen to.
Factual allegations. Teenaged Miss Ventura meets middle-aged Mr. Combs as her career begins. Mrs. Ventura met Mr. Combs in late 2005 or early 2006 after Mr. Combs heard Miss Ventura's first single playing in the club and expressed interest in signing her to his label, Bad Boy Records. At the time, Cassie was 19. I'm going to skip the Mr. Combs, Miss Ventura stuff. At the time, Cassie was 19. Diddy was 37. Within months, in February of 2006, Cassie signed a 10-album deal with Diddy's record label. 10 albums. Nobody signs 10-album deals. That sounds like a horrible contract.
I always felt like, and no shade.
Sure.
But I always felt like Cassie could not sing. And she only got signed because she's like really fucking pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's not that great of a singer though, or like a dancer, or And like, go back and watch the video. It was not great.
No.
She does have some really good songs like that I love.
Yeah.
And she's super sweet. I've met her before. She's super fucking sweet. But now I'm kind of feeling like maybe being like that timid girl is not her personality, but she was just like not wanting to be there.
Yeah.
You know?
Good
Okay,
point.
continue.
But 10, I mean, you were locked in. You were an indentured servant for a label. 10 albums.
And how many did she actually come out with?
I think only one. She probably did 2, but I can only remember 1.
I don't remember any of them. Or yeah, actually, I do remember one. That was probably just titled Cassie.
Yeah.
I'm about to look this up right now.
Right here. Cassie's first album, Cassie, was released in August of 2006, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard charts. To promote the album, Cassie made TV appearances on MTV's TRL, BET's 106 and Park. Cassie suffered from significant performance anxiety during these appearances, and press outlets were highly critical of Cassie's performances on these shows. Diddy, however, sought to rehabilitate his newly signed talent, telling MTV News, "You could hear the nervousness in her voice, and to be honest, I kind of smiled at it because it made me really appreciate what I really love about her. She's a regular person. It just made me appreciate that she got nervous, and it was kind of cute to me. To be honest, you got to understand the success for her is coming out of nowhere. It's just so huge, and sometimes everybody handles it differently." So he told that to MTV. While clearly paternalistic, it's like dad vibes, in noting that it was, quote, cute to him how, quote, regular Cassie appeared. Diddy's comments rang true to some context. Upon signing with Bad Boy Records, Cassie was quickly thrust into the spotlight and was unfamiliar with how to navigate her new celebrity status. Diddy's recognition and glorification of Cassie's naivete proved to set the groundwork for his manipulative and coercive romantic and sexual relationship with Cassie, a woman nearly 2 decades his junior. Within a year of signing with Bad Boy, Diddy became deeply entrenched in Cassie's life, almost immediately asserting possession and control over her and inserting himself into all aspects of her career and personal life. In November of 2006, Diddy invited Cassie to perform his song, Come to Me, along with him at the MTV Europe Music Awards in Denmark. After rehearsal for the performance, Mr. Diddy walked around in a robe with a drink in his hand, flaunting his lavish party lifestyle to his label's newly signed artist. During hair and makeup leading up to the performance, Cassie's hairstylist and Diddy's makeup artist told Cassie that Diddy was, quote, interested in her. Cassie shrugged off the gossip and in fact expressed disgust given the large age gap between her and the president of her new label, 19 and 37.
One album, by the way.
One album? That's all she did was one album?
Yeah, one album, one mixtape, tons of singles, a few features. Yeah, but that's it.
Emphasizing the age and power dynamic early on in their working relationship, Diddy positioned himself as a father figure and protector of Cassie by way of example. After returning to New York after a trip to Vegas, during which she endured a brief hospital stay, Cassie, who then was fully healthy, went out to a club with her friends. When Diddy saw her out, he reprimanded her, telling her to go home and take care of herself. At the time, Cassie thought her record label was looking out for her well-being and that Diddy had her best interest in mind. Diddy also ensured he was intertwined with Cassie's personal and social life. For instance, by inviting himself to Cassie's 21st birthday party in Vegas. He also brought along famous musicians and producers, thereby flaunting his celebrity status and influence in front of a young, impressionable Cassie. Although Diddy knew that Cassie was in a relationship at the time, and even though he was publicly in a relationship with Kim Porter, Diddy nevertheless pursued Cassie.
Married, right?
Yeah, I guess
Kim
so.
was his wife.
Yeah. I don't know if it was back in 06, 7, 8, 9. I don't know when they got married, but yeah, they eventually did get married.
Oh.
At an after party in a hotel suite following Cassie's 21st birthday, Diddy pulled Cassie into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her. Cassie did not consent to this unwanted contact. She immediately ran out of the bathroom and the hotel suite and cried. She told her best friend at the time about what had happened, but was too scared to tell anyone else. At the VMAs the following day, Cassie's boyfriend at the time joined her and Diddy at the table at the awards ceremony. Diddy became angry, telling Cassie that the invitation to the awards ceremony was only for her and not her boyfriend.
Who was her boyfriend?
I don't even know. But knowing
Google this.
knowing record labels and Diddy, they probably kept that hidden. Here we go.
What year was this?
This was...
Wait, in 2006, she was 19. Oh, that's what math you're doing in your head right now?
Yeah, 2009.
2000.
Mr. Combs lures Miss Ventura into a relationship. It's like a new chapter. Here you go. Despite her clear rejection of Diddy's advances, Diddy continued to demand Cassie spend time with him, including for a weekend at Diddy's residence in Miami and for nights out in New York City. On one particular night, September of 2007, Diddy insisted on taking Cassie out. Cassie acquiesced, fearing that rejecting Diddy's request would have repercussions for her album deal with Diddy and his company, Bad Boy Records. Diddy picked up Cassie from her apartment in Manhattan in a blue luxury vehicle. Cassie was surprised that when she got in the car, Diddy was already inebriated. He handed her a pill and told her to take it. When Cassie asked what the pill was, Diddy dismissed her and told her she would like it. She later learned the pill was ecstasy, something Cassie had never tried before nor did not want to try. This was the first time Diddy got Cassie high on ecstasy.
Don't ever take no pills, ladies.
No kidding.
From somebody.
Diddy then proceeded to drive recklessly at a very high speed down the West Side Highway of Manhattan. Cassie, very scared, but did not dare to object to Diddy, who appeared drunk, high, and agitated. Diddy took Cassie to an upscale lounge in downtown Manhattan, where he proceeded to get into an altercation with the security staff who would not permit Diddy to enter, possibly because he was belligerent. Cassie decided to go home, but for the remainder of the night, Diddy messaged her incessantly, complaining that he left him high and alone. I think that's supposed to be she. Left him high and alone. Ooh, there's a typo in this court document. In early fall of 2007, Diddy flexed his power and influence when he paid a promoter to create... I heard this story on TikTok. In early 2007, Diddy flexed his power and influence when he paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party hosted by Cassie. This fake posting allowed Cassie to have an excuse to go to Miami and get away from her boyfriend by using the guise of a legitimate event she had to attend. Cassie was stunned at how easily Diddy was able to recruit others to lie for him. Cassie was uncomfortable with the fake flyer, but because the request to go to Miami was made by the owner of her record label and because she was scared to go against his wishes and face repercussions, Cassie agreed to join Diddy in Florida. So as far as the boyfriend knows, hey, I got to host a party.
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah, look, it's right here on the flyer.
Yeah.
During the trip to Miami, Diddy provided Cassie with copious amounts of drugs. She became more intoxicated than she ever had before, and her intoxication lasted throughout the weekend trip. As she wanted Diddy to continue to support her career, she felt she could not refuse Diddy's urging her to take more drugs. After providing her with drugs, Diddy had sexual intercourse with Cassie during the trip. Within 2 years of meeting Diddy, Cassie found herself lured into the immediate circle of her boss, the owner of her record label and the most powerful man in the entertainment industry. And then here's how he kind of took over her career and personal life. From the very start of their relationship, Diddy exerted his power and influence over Cassie. This dynamic was fueled by their nearly 20-year age difference, as well as their relative positions in the entertainment industry. Diddy considered a music mogul and Cassie at the very start of her career as an entertainer. Diddy's aggressive and demanding approach to those he worked with made it impossible for anyone to challenge him, and Cassie learned that Mr. Combs Diddy insisted on blind loyalty from everyone in his inner circle. Although Cassie had saved up some earnings from her young modeling career, that's right, I forgot she was a model, Diddy's ostentatious display of wealth was intimidating her. Diddy paid for things with, quote, wads of cash and would repeatedly tell Cassie, quote, don't worry about money, I have money. Mr. Combs expensed lavish vacations for him and Cassie, purchased a car for her, paid her apartment, and provided her with extensive amounts of designer clothing. Around 2008, 2009, Mr. Combs began to rent an apartment in Manhattan for Cassie. The apartment was within walking distance of his New York house. Just walk down the street.
Yeah.
So he first showed Cassie the apartment by bringing her along with her parents. Cassie's parents were skeptical of the mogul's display of wealth, but proud of her daughter's newfound success. Now, around 2010, Diddy similarly paid for an apartment for Cassie in L.A., which was located about 5 minutes away from his L.A. residence. He paid for many of her apartments in California, but also purchased a Jaguar for her in 2013, 2014.
With a GPS tracker.
Yeah, right? I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
All aspects of Miss Ventura's life were controlled by either Diddy or his management companies. Every event Cassie attended, from the travel to the makeup and clothing, was paid for directly by Diddy and his companies. Compounding this all-encompassing intrusion into her life, Diddy secured his control over the young, impressionable Cassie by introducing her to a drug-fueled lifestyle that kept her complacent and compliant. Diddy first introduced Miss Ventura to opiates around 2008 and would often have pills and other drugs out in the open, quote, like candy. Upon information and belief, Diddy had been addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. There was a period of time when everybody in hip-hop was doing ecstasy, like Irv Gotti, Ja Rule. They were all rapping about it. Blue Dolphins and shit like that. Like, ecstasy was big.
Yeah, I heard Diddy does some hard stuff.
Oof. At first, Cassie was given the prescriptions that Diddy received from a doctor in Miami. Eventually, when Diddy exhausted his supply of pills, he demanded that Cassie procure prescriptions from this Miami doctor in her own name. So he would get scripts, probably for Percocet, or what was that stuff that you had for your surgery? Vicodin?
Oxys and stuff.
Oxys. Yeah,
that stuff's good.
That's the stuff. Diddy,
so Cassie's the plug, you say?
She was. Diddy also became deeply involved in Cassie's personal life, with his personal staff attending to Cassie's day-to-day travel and other needs, including medical care. On multiple occasions, Diddy had Cassie's personal medical records sent directly to his email address.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You know, when you go to the doctor and like, hey, I'll email your file. Cool. Boom. Went right to Diddy. For instance, when Cassie began experiencing memory loss, potentially due to excessive drug use and or head injuries caused by Diddy's beatings, as described below, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also repeatedly arranged for his staff to drive Cassie to certain doctor's appointments. In this way, Diddy extended ownership of Cassie. As another example of ways in which he manipulated Cassie and ensured obedience early on in their relationship, he asked Cassie what she called her grandfather. This part's creepy. Diddy says, what do you call your grandpa? Cassie says, I call him Pop Pop. Diddy perversely insisted that Cassie refer to him with that nickname. Well, call me Pop Pop also. Gross. What started out as a whirlwind of celebrity meetings and
wrong with this guy
and drug and alcohol fueled parties, however, quickly turned frightening and violent. Miss Ventura was also exposed to the intense violence that pervaded Diddy's rise to fame. For example, on one occasion, when Diddy and Cassie were using drugs together in his home, one of his security staff barged in and announced that Suge Knight, a longtime rival of Diddy, was spotted at Mel's Drive-In Diner in L.A. Mr. Combs began to get dressed, retrieved multiple guns from a safe, and ran out of his home to where he believed Mr. Knight was dining. Cassie became terrified and began to cry. On at least 2 occasions, Diddy demanded that Cassie hold Diddy's gun in her purse. Cassie had no familiarity with guns and was petrified that the firearm would accidentally go off in her purse. There was no clear reason why Diddy required her to hold his guns, except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous. Sidebar. Remember that nightclub shooting? Diddy, J-Lo, shooting in the club, and then they blamed it on Shine, and Shine went to jail for how long? Do you remember the shooting in the club?
That's like very, very lightly is ringing a bell.
When Diddy and J-Lo were dating, they went to some club, and there was some fight. Shots rang out. Everyone's like, yo, man, Diddy was shooting up the club. Shine, one of his rappers, said, no, it was me. Went to jail for hell of years. I think ended up getting deported. The rumor was like, yo, Diddy did it, but he paid Shine to take the fall.
So this is like confirming that for you?
Well, it was something that I always thought. I'm like, he paid somebody to do that, to take the fall for him. Over the next decade, multiple times each year, Diddy would violently beat Cassie, leaving bruises on her body. After every instance in which he beat Cassie, Diddy used his money and power to orchestrate extensive efforts to hide the evidence of his abuse, including hiding Cassie in hotels for days at a time to let her bruises heal. In one such instance, after a party with Jay-Z, Diddy beat Cassie repeatedly in an Escalade, including by kicking and hitting her.
Jeez.
He forced her out of the vehicle on Fifth Avenue in New York City. She was eventually able to hail a cab and get to her apartment in Manhattan, where she cried in fear, realizing there was no one she could tell about what had happened at the hands of this incredibly powerful man. She spent the subsequent 3 days hiding in her apartment. Plus, Cassie was tiny girl.
That's like the only thing I'm thinking of every time you read something like that. I'm like, she literally was like 90 pounds.
Yeah. In January 2009, after Diddy learned that Cassie spoke to another music manager at a party in LA, he became enraged. She had hoped speaking to this manager would allow her to further grow her career and that Diddy would be happy for her, but instead, he became extremely angry and pulled her out of the club where the party was taking place. In the car, leaving the club, Diddy beat Cassie, pushing her into a corner of the vehicle and stomping on her face. Diddy's security staff, Roger Bonds, tried to stop the beating, but was unable to de-escalate the situation. When the car arrived at Diddy's residence, Cassie attempted to run away, but Diddy followed her and proceeded to again kick her in the face. Miss Ventura was bleeding profusely and was ushered into Diddy's home, where she began to throw up from the violent assault. Upon recognizing the damage he had done and the physical evidence of his abuse, Diddy panicked and forced his staff to bring Cassie to a hotel suite at the London Hotel in LA, where she was required to stay for a week. Like, where's the doctor at? How about like, yo, let's get some x-rays. You're probably bleeding internally. Where's the broken bones? During this stay, as her injuries from the beating healed, Cassie began to fully realize that Diddy's tremendously loyal network not only knew about and witnessed his assault, but also that these witnesses were not willing to do anything meaningful to stop Diddy's behavior. She recognized she was powerless and that reporting Diddy to the authorities would not alter Mr. Combs' status and influence, but would merely give Diddy another excuse to hurt her. While in the hotel, she asked to go home to her parents, but Diddy wouldn't let her leave. She lied to her mother when asked about an online gossip forum that reported the assault. Diddy proceeded to instruct his assistant to purchase excessive amounts of gifts for Cassie, which were delivered to the hotel room where she remained trapped. Cassie was terrified, isolated, and unable to see a pathway out of Diddy's abusive hold on her life. She found herself becoming numb to the abuse she was experiencing and became entirely beholden to Diddy's demands. She began to blindly follow his instructions out of fear of again being on the receiving end of a vicious beating. By Diddy's own admission, his relationship with Cassie was like, quote, Bobby and Whitney, a clear acknowledgement of the unequal power dynamic and excessive domestic violence that permeated their relationship. From the outside looking in, Cassie had heard others refer to her relationship with Diddy as, quote, Ike and Tina. Her volatile and abusive partner, who also owned her label and therefore held her future in his hands, had fully extorted control over every aspect of her life. Time for sex trafficking. Deep breath, here we go. Within a few months of beginning a romantic relationship with the 40-year-old Diddy, the 22-year-old Cassie felt beholden to his whims and demands. While in New York City, Diddy told Cassie that he wanted to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism. Diddy said that it would, quote, turn him on if he saw Miss Ventura, quote, with another dick.
So weird to hear you say that.
The first time Diddy hired a man and brought the man to his home in LA, the man, Diddy, and Cassie wore masquerade masks and ingested drugs. Diddy directed Cassie to perform sex acts with this man.
I wonder, so if did this guy know who they were? If they all had masks on and stuff?
You'd probably recognize Diddy. Even with a mask, like his voice, his bad boy tattoo. The gold records on the wall, like the Grammys.
I mean, what
in the
if there
trophy
was
case?
like a room that they went into that wasn't displayed with gold records, you know? Or what if it was at like an Airbnb or something?
You may not recognize Cassie. I think someone would notice it was Diddy. Diddy directed Cassie to perform sex acts with this man while Diddy watched them. He masturbated while he directed Cassie and the man to do specific sexual acts. The entire encounter lasted multiple days.
Oh.
Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a, quote, freak off, or FO. He would repeatedly tell Cassie at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Cassie was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of the male sex workers.
It wasn't at his house.
Good point. Imagine like hearing this or like reading this on TikTok, be like, yo, that was me. Like, I remember that. That was me in 2009. At certain points.
I remember the masquerade mask people.
Yep. At certain points during Cassie and Diddy's relationship, he would insist on an FO weekly. Diddy would repeatedly tell Cassie that this practice was, quote, our thing and, quote, our secret. FOs would often take place in hotel suites, included at the Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle.
Of course.
Les Miserables, I don't know, in Beverly Hills, the London in LA, and the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental Atlanta, the Intercontinental New York City, the One Hotel in New York, and in Miami, the Mondrian Hotel in New York, and in Miami, the Fontainebleau in Miami, the Beverly Hills Hotel, and Shutters on the Beach in LA. On one occasion in 2013, Diddy had an FO set up at the Intercontinental in New York, after which he was charged with tens of thousands of dollars in damages by the hotel. Upon information and belief, Diddy's chief of staff, Tony Fletcher, paid the invoice charged by the hotel.
What were the damages? It doesn't say.
It doesn't say, just tens of thousands. So it sounds to me like a fight happened. Cassie was eventually instructed to use websites and escort services to find male sex workers to participate in the FOs. Diddy told Cassie to search for, quote, large black penises on the website. That's the name of this podcast, Large Black Penises on the Website. Sorry. Sometimes Diddy would pay to fly male sex workers to his location.
Is he gay?
There's been a lot of Jamie Foxx and 50 Cent have been dropping little breadcrumbs of like
He gay.
Stuff the last couple years on social media.
I don't know one straight man that would ever speak a request like that.
Yeah.
Listen. That man gay.
Sometimes Diddy would pay to fly male sex workers to his locations, including...
See, you're already doing too much. Like, you're hella gay.
And you're flying them out? Including to multiple cities in the U.S. as well as abroad. He required Cassie and his staff to help him make the arrangements. So there's a whole team of people making these FOs happen. Diddy's assistants would help him to set up the FOs, including...
What does FO stand for again?
Freak out. Or freak off? Freak off, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, freak off.
Are you going to read all 35 pages of this?
No, I got rid of... No, I'm almost done. I got rid of a bunch of pages that...
Oh, my God.
Diddy's assistants would help him set up the FOs, including setting up the hotel suites with baby oil and Astroglide.
What is Astroglide? Like super lube?
You know where it's for?
Buttholes? The buttholes.
Back there.
Astroglide. Hold on, let me write that down. Astroglide.
Diddy always supplied Cassie and the sex worker with copious amounts of drugs before and during the FOs.
It's a spray-on.
I didn't know it was a spray-on. Cassie was given ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and alcohol in excessive amounts during FOs, which allowed her to disassociate during these horrific encounters.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did she not die? Jesus Christ. It became commonplace to get IV fluids in the days after an FO to recover from the excessive substances pushed upon her. Cassie was required to dress up in lingerie for an FO, and Diddy insisted she wear white nail polish to contrast her nails with the skin of the black men he hired to have sex with her. During the FO, Diddy would instruct Cassie to pour excessive amounts of oil over herself. Diddy would then instruct Cassie and the sex workers to speak to each other, and then would specifically tell Cassie where to touch the sex workers. Diddy would say things like, oh, Jesus Christ, maybe you should have read this part. Diddy would say things like, grab that big black dick.
Why you gotta put a twang on it when you say it? Like, talk normal.
And how does it feel? As he directed her
grab that big black dick
to perform for him.
We need a Diddy impersonator to read his quotes. Like,
I know one.
Who?
Biz.
I don't want to hear Biz say that.
During the FOs, in addition to directing Cassie and masturbating, Diddy would use his phone, laptop, and tablet to film Cassie having sex with the hired sex worker. He treated the forced encounter as a personal art project, adjusting the candles he used for lighting to frame the videos he took. While Cassie quickly deleted any photographs or video of sex acts if they were taken on her phone, Diddy repeatedly made clear that he retained many videos of Cassie during FOs. Even when she deleted the videos, Diddy would tell Cassie that he was able to recover deleted videos from her devices. On one occasion, he sat next to her on a flight and made her watch a video she thought she had deleted, reinforcing her inability to escape the immense power he held over her.
Remember when her nudes leaked?
No.
You don't remember when she had nudes leak?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that was him.
It was probably around this time, yeah.
I think it was like in 09 or 2010 or something. Hold on. Cassie nudes. There's no year on here. 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that was him.
Probably. Diddy would pay the male sex workers a few $1,000s in cash for their services. During some FOs, Diddy would become extremely intoxicated and would hit Cassie in front of the male sex workers. Cassie was repulsed by Diddy's demand, but between the physical beating and recognizing his incredible power and incredible temper, Cassie became petrified of her partner and boss and felt that she could not say no. He even would present her with lavish gifts prior to or in the middle of FOs, seemingly acknowledging the ways in which these forced sexual encounters constituted, quote, work for Cassie, that he needed to compensate her for her work. At one point, he had given her so many designer bracelets for FOs, and immediately following his brutal beatings, that she felt that she was shackled by his presence. Frequently, her anxiety before an FO would become so great, she would become physically ill, sometimes to the point of vomiting. While kneeling over the toilet, Diddy would shame her into performing for him, eventually forcing her to get up and proceed with the encounter. She knew firsthand that telling Diddy that she did not want to engage in an FO was met with anger and violence. In addition, any suggestion that Cassie would refuse the FO or otherwise report Diddy's abuse was met with the ultimatum by Diddy, who would say that Cassie would not go to the police because she had a, quote, lot to lose. Around August of 2015, when did the nudes leak? You said 2016, right?
I think so.
Okay. Around August 2015, for example, in the middle of a surprise birthday party for Cassie's 29th birthday, God, he was with her forever, Diddy insisted that Cassie leave the party and go to a hotel. In the middle of her birthday, Diddy insisted that Cassie leave the party and go to a hotel for an FO. When she expressed that she did not want to go, Diddy had Cassie cornered by his security staff in order to force her to leave with him. After this FO, Diddy and Cassie went back to the hotel room that Cassie was staying in, where some of Cassie's friends were already hanging out. Diddy was severely intoxicated, and at one point during the night, picked up one of Cassie's friends like a child and dangled the friend over the balcony of the 17th floor hotel suite. Cassie and her friends were scared by Diddy's erratic behavior, but Cassie was heavily sedated because of the drugs she took to participate in the FOs, and therefore was unable to respond to Diddy's terrifying behavior. The FOs became work for Cassie, and despite her protests, Diddy insisted on these intricately staged and forced sexual encounters between Cassie and various sex workers.
Listen to what I just found. You want to listen to this?
Yeah.
Okay, let me play it. I'm hearing this for the first time also.
Turn up your laptop.
Man, I don't know. I know chicks out on the up and up. The fuck, but he called, we should kick it on the telephone and after the me.
Right.
That's 50 Cent, by the way.
I figured.
Right.
And the nigga be like, matter of fact, that they send me the girl pictures, like pictures of this girl, like, not the that y'all saw. Worse, way worse.
Wow. Are you kidding me, yo?
Like penetration pictures and
Nah, come on, man. Come on, Phil.
all that. And I called the nigga, I said, yo, you with this girl? Like, you really, like, you like her like that? And he was like, yeah. That's my girl. I'm like, all right, I'm going to send you something. You look at it, you call me back. I sent him the photos, the pictures and everything. And the nigga called back and was like, yo, thanks, man. Blah, blah, yo, I really appreciate that. Yo, where you get these shit from? And I said, you know, like, because they know, like, if something crazy is going on, if they send it to me, I'll make sure I get out there. Like, as far as this 50.com is concerned.
Yeah, yep.
And those other properties. So they sent it to me. But, you know, I really kind of felt like those photographs were not happening because of Cassie. I felt like they was happening because of Puffy.
So I'm not going to go with what were the pictures about. They are what they are. Mm-hmm. What, like, clearly, I guess the thing I want to know is who. I was told they were leaked. True or false?
Oh wait, pause that.
You.
Is that JoJo?
I don't know.
So the first one, okay, so the first one was
So it's-
50 Cent.
It was 50 Cent talking to, I think, Joe Budden, and he was saying...
Sounded like who kid? Who's the guy on Shade 45?
I thought it was Joe Budden.
Okay, maybe, okay.
I don't know. He was saying that their freak off pictures and videos were leaked and being sent around, and it got sent to him. So he hit up Diddy and was like, "Yo, like, what the fuck? Like, I just got this shit. I'm gonna send you this shit that's being sent to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's out there.
Your girl's getting banged by somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was trying to like dead it.
Yeah.
And then it just jumped to a clip of Cassie being interviewed.
Is that a video clip or audio clip?
It's a video clip.
Is it a white guy with blonde hair?
I don't see him. I just see her.
Okay.
So
Sounds
let me
like
start
JoJo.
it. So let me start it over.
So I'm not going to go with what were the pictures about. They are what they are. What, like, clearly, I guess the thing I want to know is who. I was told they were leaked. True or false?
True.
Not by you, right?
Not by me. Definitely not by me.
Do you know who did it, or do you have an idea?
We're closer to an idea of who did it. Yeah, it's being somewhat investigated. I don't even know if I'm really supposed to talk about it like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think we're close to finding out who it was.
Yeah, that was JoJo. JoJo on Kiss in LA.
So yeah, interesting.
Interessante. Okay, so this is almost done. This is when she tries to escape. Anytime she tried to create distance between her and Diddy, he used his networks to find her and convince her to return to his abuse. On multiple occasions, Diddy sent his employees to lure Cassie back. In 2011, during a rough patch in Diddy and Cassie's relationship, Cassie had a brief relationship with musician Kid Cudi. When Diddy returned from a trip, he demanded another freak off, right? Freak off,
I think.
Demanded another FO of Cassie, and she acquiesced. She said no. Or acquiesced means yes.
I don't know. You're
Okay.
the one. You're the one that knows big words.
During this FO, apparently it means yes. During this FO, Diddy found Cassie's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Diddy became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at Cassie.
Oh my gosh.
Cassie ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Diddy's wrath. Soon thereafter, one of Diddy's staff members told Cassie that he needed, quote, to just talk to Diddy, even though Diddy was enraged. Feeling like she could not escape Diddy and his network of enforcers, Cassie returned to Diddy. He hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run out the door. She went to her parents' home in Connecticut, where her mother took pictures of the bruises Diddy had left on Cassie's body. In February of 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Diddy told Cassie that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. Cassie was terrified, and she began to fully comprehend what Diddy was both willing and able to do to those he believed had slighted him. In 2015, Cassie spoke to a popular music manager at an after party in a hotel suite in Vegas. Diddy saw her speaking to this manager and sternly told her to step into the bedroom next to the suite. In the bedroom, Diddy beat Cassie severely. She ran from corner to corner of the room, trying to avoid Diddy's beating and kicking. When she tried to lock herself in the bathroom, he pushed through and punched her and kicked her while she curled up under the toilet. Her screams were drowned out by the loud music playing in the outside area of the hotel suite. When Diddy's head of security and assistants saw Cassie after the assault, they began to cry. Cassie had 2 black eyes, a burst and bruised lip, a huge welt on her forehead. Upon seeing the results of his vicious attack, Diddy immediately took steps to conceal his wrongdoing. He forced Cassie to stay at his home in Holmby Hills, wherever that is, along with one of his sons. So his sons probably saw this shit go down too. I forgot he had hella kids.
Yeah.
While there, Diddy FaceTimed Cassie and stated, "You got to go up and put more makeup on. My son can't see you like that." She did put makeup on per Diddy's demands. Cassie felt that she had no choice but to obey her abuser, even though security guards, assistants, and friends saw
Makeup
the
is
situation.
not going to hide that.
Big lumps.
Yeah.
She was in. No one dared help her or speak up on her behalf. She therefore had no choice but to remain subservient. Later in 2015, while shooting a movie in Cape Town, South Africa, she was in a movie? Cassie began a flirtatious relationship with an actor. She spent New Year's Eve with this actor, but Diddy soon found out. Diddy called the actor and threatened him. The actor proceeded to call Cassie and tell her, quote, "You really need to call Diddy." In or around March 2016, during an FO at the Intercontinental in LA, Diddy became extremely intoxicated and punched Cassie in the face, giving her a black eye. After he fell asleep...
Oh no, it's happening again.
Beijing hospital packed from respiratory illness surge. Ew, that's where it started last time.
I know. It didn't start in Beijing.
No, but over there.
Over where?
In China, in the China area.
With the Chinese? That's what you're trying to say? With the Asians? That's what you're trying to say? That sounded racist.
Let me get back to this. After he fell asleep, Cassie tried to leave the hotel room, but as she exited, Diddy awoke and began screaming at Cassie. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. He grabbed at her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her, causing glass to crush around them as she ran to the elevator to escape. She managed to get into the elevator, and when she got to the lobby, quickly took a cab to her apartment. Upon realizing that her running away would cause Diddy to be even more angry with her and completely stuck in his vicious cycle of abuse, Cassie returned to the hotel with the intention of apologizing for running away from her abuser. When she returned, hotel security staff urged her to get back into a cab and go to her apartment, suggesting that they had seen the security footage showing Diddy beating Cassie and throwing glass at her in the hotel hallway. Because there's cameras in hallways.
Yeah.
And if this went on in front of a camera, upon information and belief, Diddy paid the Intercontinental Century City $50,000 for the hallway security footage from that evening. After this...
But they didn't say I could make copies.
Right. After this, Cassie left her home in Comstock and went to hide away at a friend's house in Florida. James Cruz, president of Bad Boy Management, tracked Cassie down and told her that her single would not be released if she did not answer Diddy's phone calls. A woman who worked at Sony Music reached out to her with a similar ultimatum concerning her record. We're not going to release your record unless you call Diddy. Incredibly, Diddy even convinced one of his attorneys to call Cassie at the time. The lawyer told Cassie that, quote, it's in your best interest to call Diddy back. Each time Cassie tried to run away, Diddy and his powerful network would force her back to him. Diddy's tight hold over her life irreparably damaged her friendships around 2018 when Cassie was with her friend Carrie Morgan in her house. Diddy used his key to Cassie's house and come in unannounced. He and Miss Morgan, her friend, had an altercation during which Diddy threw a hanger at Miss Morgan. Upon information and belief, the incident resulted in a settlement between Diddy and Miss Morgan, and Cassie ended up paying Miss Morgan additional funds in an attempt to resolve the dispute between her close friend and her abusive and controlling boyfriend. The relationship between Cassie and Miss Morgan had been strained since this time. Seeing the extreme measures Diddy took to keep a tight hold on Cassie and isolate her from her support network, and having experienced the repercussions of rejecting his demands, Cassie felt that saying, quote, no to Diddy would cost her something: her family, friends, her career, even her life. Okay, this is a rape chapter right here, but it's almost done. By 2017 and 2018, Cassie became desperate to leave Diddy and his abuse of her. She recognized that if she stayed with him, she would never be able to have a successful career or be physically and mentally safe. She therefore became determined to completely break away from Diddy and his cycle of abuse and made concerted efforts to avoid him. In September of 2018, she joined Diddy for a dinner at an Italian restaurant in Malibu for what she believed would be a discussion about concluding their relationship for good. After dinner, Diddy and Cassie returned to Cassie's home, which was paid for by Diddy. Diddy forced himself into her apartment and tried to kiss Cassie. She told him to stop and attempted to push him away. Diddy then forcibly pulled off Cassie's clothing and unbuckled his belt. He proceeded to rape Cassie while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. Soon thereafter, Cassie took steps to completely separate herself from a longtime abuser, including by leaving the home that he had paid for, returning the car he had purchased her. Despite moving away, Cassie's address was posted online in early 2019, leading to fears for her safety. Cassie, who was under immense duress during the months after Diddy raped her, took all steps possible to entirely remove herself from her abuser's ambit, including by entering into contracts to end her record deal with Bad Boy Entertainment. Mr. Combs' sexual and physical abuse of Cassie has caused her lifelong harm. As a result of the immense trauma Cassie endured for over a decade with Diddy, decade with Diddy, She had suffered and continues to suffer from immense emotional distress. Following her escape from the cycle of abuse and sex trafficking she endured, she struggled with the physical and mental manifestation of her trauma. The birth of her 2 children, however, allowed her a new lease on life and gave her purpose. She credits her children with saving her from the trauma that had consumed over a decade of her life. Except for the months when she was pregnant with her children, Cassie struggled with her addictions to drugs and alcohol, addictions that were established and fueled by Mr. Combs. She turned to substances to drown out the memories of her abuse. Without being intoxicated, she suffered from horrific nightmares of the forced sexual acts that Mr. Combs demanded she participate in during the regularly scheduled FOs and of physical beatings that she endured throughout her relationship. She had difficulty eating and sleeping, and her relationships with family suffered. During this time, she frequently had thoughts of ending her life. To rebuild her life and her career, Cassie needed to completely reinvent herself. She checked herself into inpatient treatment at a rehabilitation center where she first confronted the extent of the trauma she lives with. She had required intensive therapy and other medical care to recover from Diddy's abuse, and she will forever live with the physical and psychological repercussions over the decade of violence, fear, and exploitation she endured. Although Cassie was unable to speak up against the years of abuse she endured at the hands of Diddy, she has since been able to rebuild her life and confront her trauma thanks to the passage of New York's Adult Survivors Act and California's Sexual Abuse Accountability and Cover-Up Act. She's now ready and able to confront her abuser and to hold him and those who enabled his abuse accountable for their actions. And then at the end, it just says, the plaintiff prays judgment be entered in her favor against the defendants and each of them. And it says, money for this, money for this, money for this, pay attorney fees, do this. But that...
I can't believe you just made me sit here and listen to that shit for an hour. You read that for an hour, right?
Oh, 54 minutes. Holy crap.
After you said, it's not that long.
That was a long time. That's rough, though. That's rough.
I believe it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good things that come out about Diddy.
This is true.
And this is all coming out at the same time that What's-His-Face said, yeah, Diddy is the one that ordered the hit on Tupac.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
All this is coming out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a good person. And I just feel like men, maybe, okay, let me not just single out men. But I feel like usually it's men that have a lot of money and power. Mm-hmm. They're the fucking devil.
Yeah.
They think they're untouchable. They think that they could just do whatever they want, get away with anything. And he is.
Yeah.
How do you do that to someone and you're able to hide it for 10 years?
Yeah.
It's because you can afford to.
And in front of so many people.
You're buying everyone's silence. You're paying these people off and these people off. And it's like someone who didn't have money would not be able to do all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so sad what she went through. And a lot of victims of abuse, they just feel that they can't get away. If, for whatever reason, I can't get away. I'm still trapped. I'm still shackled to this abuser.
It's because they take control of everything.
Yeah, it's planned out.
They pay the rent. They pay for the car. They pay for the phone. They buy the food. They buy the clothes.
Yeah,
like
they're
the
something
sole
over you.
provider of a whole other person.
Yeah.
Especially when you have pets or when you have kids, you're like, I can't leave. How am I going to take care of them?
Mm-hmm. So they settled. That came out. I forget what day it was, but within 24 hours.
Oh yeah,
they settled. There's rumors around the internet: 30 million, 60 million. Who knows how much? But must have been a lot because it happened fast. Both of them said it was amicable, and then you have
I
a
would
lot
have been
of
like, nah. How about billion?
Yeah, and then you have Aubrey O'Day, who has long spoken out about Diddy.
Yeah.
She's rallying the troops.
I forgot about her too.
She's rallying troops. And then I think there's 2 other sexual, not assault, but 2 other sex charges. 2 other women are like saying something about Diddy and other people from Bad Boy. And
I saw something this is one of the things I was going to bring up. I didn't read it, but I did see an article recently about Diddy hitting or threatening to hit Kimora Lee Simmons when she was pregnant.
Oh.
That came out. And then do you remember Cassie's, quote, ATV accident photos that came out?
No, but you think that was a beating?
100% Diddy. It was a black eye, busted lip.
I don't remember that. I remember that there was Kim, his wife. She got a nose job, or there was something. She had an injury. She had a broken nose or a black eye, and it was like, oh no, I like fell down the stairs, or I had a nose job. It was something. There was a nose job involved. But now, after hearing this Cassie statement, people are like, oh, wait a minute, Kim was probably also a victim.
And I wonder, and even they're probably never going to say anything, otherwise they would have said it by now. But like what J-Lo has to say, and Carisha.
Who's Carisha? The new one?
Young Miami.
Yeah, Young
from
Miami.
The City Girls.
His new girl. J-Lo wasn't with him too long, I don't think. That's why I brought that up, because soon after that shooting, she left him. Because she was up and coming, and everyone's like, yo, he's bad for your career. Like, he's, you know, because he was going down that, like, yo, I'm a hardcore, I'm thug. Like, he wasn't like the America's sweetheart that he kind of is now. Well, he was a month ago. But, like, you know, Diddy was like America's sweetheart. Like, oh, I'm buds with, you know, Carson Daly.
Because he was like, I feel like all the rappers and artists back then they're at the age now where, you know, being a dad is cool and being like, just being like a cool old man and everyone's favorite uncle, like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Snoop Dogg.
Now.
Snoop Dogg is America's dad.
Now.
Yeah.
But they were massive protests against Snoop years ago.
Like,
exactly.
He's on cooking shows with Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Like, what you mean?
Yeah.
What you mean he used to kill people? What you mean he was on trial for murder? Like,
yeah. So there was also this TikTok I saw, like all these like ex-employees and ex-bodyguards of Bad Boy.
I'm about to go on a TikTok, down a TikTok rabbit hole tonight.
They're doing these TikTok interviews. One of them was saying, one producer was like, yeah, I was in the studio with Wale, and
he said, grab that dick.
Wale warned me, like, yo, Cassie's coming in here to sing a hook, like, Diddy's real weird about her, like, don't look at her, like, don't flirt with her, nothing. And so I guess Diddy found out that, again, this is from the producers. I'm just reiterating his story. Diddy found out that Cassie was at this recording studio with Wale, bursted in, went right to Wale's part of the studio, and hung Wale over the balcony because Cassie was there and they were singing a song together. So the producer's like, dude, I was there. I saw this happen.
I also heard that Diddy made Cassie shave her head. That's why
the side of her head. I wonder.
Yeah.
I was wondering why.
And I
that
remember
happened.
asking her about that because soon after she did that is when I met her.
Oh.
And I remember being like, I remember seeing it and like having never seen that before. Like nobody had a half shaved head. Yeah. She made it cool. But I remember being like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what made you want to do that? And she was like, I don't know. I just want to do something different.
I wonder if it was part of an abuse. Like, maybe he, like, cut her hair, bruised, or he could have ripped some out. He's like, you're never going to cover that up to shave it. Like, it could, I mean, who knows at this point?
It could have been part of the FO.
It could have been part of the FO.
Shave her head.
Ugh. All right, let's wrap this up. I did not know it was going to be this long. Sorry.
Yeah, I got to get home and cook dinner, fool. Like,
sorry. I didn't know it was going to be this long. I'm like, 30 pages. I got rid of 8 of them. Shouldn't be that long.
Oh, my God. That's it?
I got rid of a bunch of, like, legal stuff that didn't pertain to the stories.
You got rid of 8 pages out of 35? I saw the number. No, stop lying to me. 30 pages.
No, it's 35. And then I got rid of a bunch, and these last 2 was, like, so it wasn't that. It was, like, triple spaced. It wasn't, like... Anyway, follow us on Instagram at Strawberry and Lizette.
I'm at Lizette Love, LIZETTELOVEE.
I am at Strawberry Radio, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.
Bye.